Hey, Steve Mignon here doing the Junkyard Crawl at Berniston Auto Wrecking in Berniston, Massachusetts with a 1956 Plymouth Plaza. Now, of course, the Plymouth line for 56 was the second model year that Plymouth entered the V8 age. And the Plaza was the bottom of the barrel. There was the Plaza, the Savoy, the Belvedere, and the Fury at the top. The Fury, of course, was Plymouth's first self-aware muscle car with 260 horsepower. By contrast, the Plaza was generally relegated to fleet use and, well, cheapskates. And in total, there are 130,813 Plazas built. Well, of them, 60,197, or just under half, were four-door sedans like this one. But this one's a little different. The tip of the iceberg, or the weirdness on this one, is this here. This is a spotlight, which is something that was added on after retail sale. But this suggests this car either might be a custom or it might be a municipal vehicle, police and or fire department. We keep adding up the clues. I notice on this one, the front brakes, these are 11-inch drums. Now the thing is, these cars had 10-inch drums. Here's our Coker tire tape measure, and we have 11 inches. So these are the taxi or fleet drums up front, which tells us this is not an ordinary Plymouth Plaza. And one thing real quick, these lug nuts on the driver's side are all stamped L, not for loser, but for left-hand lug nut. And yes, left-hand threads on the driver's side of Plymouths. And check it out, Oldsmobile and Pontiac also use left-hand lug nuts on the driver's side in this period of time. So it wasn't just a Mopar thing, GM did it too. Now, to add up the clues even further, we got to open the hood on this thing. Again, we have the 11-inch drum duty brakes. What do we have under the hood? Okay, well, all right. We don't see a 4-barrel, so it's not a Fury engine. That's a 2-barrel. So this is the 270 with a 2-barrel, which is a pretty peppy engine, 180 horsepower. Now keep in mind, 55 was the first year for a Plymouth V8, but unlike DeSoto, Dodge, and Chrysler, which had Hemi engines in their first couple of years, Plymouth never got a Hemi until 1964. So when you look at the valve cover on this, this is the polysphere with this sort of lumpy effect down here. Kind of half a Hemi, I guess you might say. Not a bad engine, but the thing that really stands out here is this thing, This is a Leece-Neville 50-amp alternator. Now here's the thing, as we know, Chrysler Corporation introduced alternators in 1960 on Valiants and in 61 on pretty much everything. And this is a 56, so what is it doing with an alternator? And beyond that, double pulleys. Well, it adds up. This is definitely either a police or a fire department vehicle. Now here's the thing. Generators do not charge the battery when the car is sitting at an idle on the side of the road with the lights on at an emergency. Alternators do charge the battery with the lights on, the radio on. So this is a Leece-Neville add-on alternator, which is probably a Chrysler item. This is more than likely a fleet car. And it was probably a fire department car. We look over here and we can see on this fender some holes drilled right there. This is probably where an external mount siren would have gone. One of those big chrome, right there is likely where that went. So, pretty unusual car. The voltage regulator is also a Leece-Neville mechanical unit with wing nuts that are just about paper thin from corrosion. But again, this works in tandem with that 50-amp alternator. And again, this is a heavy-duty 270 2-barrel. You could get the Fury's 260 horsepower 303 in this car. It was optional on everything, not just the Fury. But something kind of cool too is that power brake booster right there. It's a Bendix unit right there. Only 6% of all 1956 Plymouths got power brakes, and there it is right there. That's the booster. The master cylinder's gone, but that's the booster with the vacuum diaphragm inside. That is rare. Again, 94% of 56 Plymouths had manual brakes. Well, this is one of the 6%. But that thing right there, to a police car restorer, that is so hard to find, so rare. And I got to say, folks who know the Steve Maggs YouTube channel well, my Project REM Charger, 62 Dodge Dart cop car from Texas, it also has Leece-Neville electronics in it. Now, Leece-Neville, of course, is a company founded in 1909. They're still in business today in 2022, located in Cleveland, Ohio. And they make heavy-duty electronics for everything, tanks, airplanes, cars, and yeah, old cop cars like this. Let's keep looking. Now, one thing about cop cars, this is a great book by Ed Sanow and John Bella right here. This is Dodge and Plymouth and Chrysler police cars 56 to 78. This tells the story. And we got to remember that 1957 was the first year for a police package. Dodge had police packages in 56, but on the left-hand page we see here, In '56, Plymouth released its special taxi cab package based on the 115-inch wheelbase Plaza model. This package was designed to counter the checker claim that smaller cars were just fixed-up passenger cars. The special taxi cab was still built on the same assembly line as the Plymouth passenger car, but along the way it got special treatment. Most significant was the reinforced frame, which included reinforced floor pans, welded gussets, special roof rails, and diagonal support struts. The interior also featured heavy-duty upholstery, and it says here, new for '56, taxi also included heavy-duty alternator, heavy-duty springs and shocks, heavy-duty battery, roof lights, and big brakes, etc. So again, '56 was the first year for Dodge police cars. It all starts right there. Now Plymouth again didn't get one until '56 or '57. But again, the taxi and export stuff was about the same as the police stuff. So I think what we have right here is a '56 Plymouth Plaza fleet car dressed out to be a fire chief car. And again, I say fire chief, the bright red paint on this thing is factory stock. It's burnt here, but on the firewall, that red paint tells us this is most likely a fire chief's car. Just keep looking around. Now, the sad thing is this door and the car is so rusted into the ground, I can't open the door. Now, inside here is going to be a VIN plate, which will tell us the model year and the type, but there would be no fleet or police code till '59. So even if we could see that, it wouldn't tell us much. We have to look at the clues we can see. So '56, of course, first year for the fins added on to the '55 body style, of course. '56, also first year for 12-volt electricals on all Plymouths, kind of cool, but these fins here are pretty cool to see. And this is Motor Life magazine right here, April of '56, and it has a road test on the new '56 Plymouth right there. So let's open her up and see what they had to say. This is pretty cool. And here it is, '56 Plymouth Technical Analysis, and we can see it is still a body on frame on the right-hand side, that picture of the frame, and there's different mounts and cross members depending on what body style you have. And again, of course, these are body on frame. The unit construction stuff wouldn't come till 1960. But up at the top right, the leaf spring is interesting. The axle locates halfway down. It's 50-50. Final year right here for that stuff, because in '57, Chrysler went to a biased spring where the axle goes 1/3 of the way back, and then 2/3 back is not spring. So that kind of makes the front third segment stiffer. But '56, final year for the axle in the middle of the length of the spring. So there it is right there. Next page, what do we got? Pretty cool here. This is the full model line right here. On the left, the Belvederes, in the middle, the Savoys, and on the right, the Plaza. And of course, the Suburbans, which on the bottom right, those are the wagons. And we know that Chevrolet Suburban is an SUV. Well, Plymouth used the term as well for their wagons right there all through the '50s. And of course, not shown here is the Plymouth Fury, which was Plymouth's first muscle car, really. It was sort of an answer to the Chrysler 300C of 1955. Now, we further explore, and the rear of this car is weird because it also has bigger 11-inch drums right here. Now, the standard brake will be a 10, but here's the thing. Look at this. This does not have studs. This has bolts on the back. So it has studs in the front, bolts in the back. Now, here's the thing. 1954, all Plymouths had these bolt-on wheels. They went to studs in '55, but with the 11-inch drums, for whatever reasons, clearly, they got bolt-ons on the back. I'm not sure what that's about. Kind of weird, but studs in the front, bolts in the back. Seems kind of bizarre. The leaf spring right there has 5 leaps, which is an extra leaf. Now make that 6 leaves. Look at that. It's a heavy-duty cop type or fleet or taxi leaf spring. Standard before, so it has 2 extra leaves. So this is definitely a heavy-duty fleet car, and I love it. It's a less is more scenario. Let's take a peek inside, and while you could get an automatic transmission, which would have been a $184 upgrade, this one has the 3-speed manual, and here's the shift right here. There's the pedals right down there, and the base 3-speed was a pretty decent little transmission. For another $108, you could get overdrive, but this one is a very basic car. Radio delete, but check this out. Records show that 64% of all '56 Plymouths had no radio. 36% got radios from the factory, so the majority actually had this kind of ugly block-off stuff. But again, being a fleet car, more than likely this would have had a professional radio underneath the dash, and you can see here the holes where probably a microphone clip went right there for the fire chief to use it and clip it on here. So this radio delete is definitely in keeping with this car's fire chief status. Beyond that, it's definitely a stripper rubber floor mat machine right here. It's also still kind of pliable. Look at that, but no carpets. This is a Plaza. Real bare bones, real cheap, kind of a basic car. But again, I always like to say that less can be more. And I love fleet cars with big engines, heavy duty bones, and heavy duty suspensions. And that's what we get here. Now, in some of the previous videos, some people think I'm maligning Virgil Exner. Now we know that in 55, Virgil Exner's vision finally took shape with the 55 models. They replaced the tall and weird 54s, and Chrysler really got on its way. In 57, Exner really hit his stride with these suddenly at 60 sleek, big fin cars. But the thing is, the Exner deal by 61 too, it got a little weird, you know? So I love Virgil Exner, and this was one of his early projects right here. Great looking car. And again, the hooded headlights on this. Now this is a Massachusetts car. So look at this, it's been done here. The rust has taken out the headlight trim. Look at this. I like that right there. Pretty cool piece, die cast. But again, this is rusted and somebody welded on a cap here, and then that rusted away. We see it on this side as well. Kind of, look at that, New England, man. It's a tough place to be a car. So this is, at some point in time, this was welded on. And J.C. Whitney used to actually sell caps that you'd cut off the old rotten metal, weld on the new one, and Bondo it over. And we can see right here some of the old Bondos still kind of there. Red Bondo right there. There it is, right there. You know, so the secrets and the sins of the past. But anyway, this is a pretty unusual car. I hate to say it. It is body on frame. There's hope. The frame is probably still good, but the body is conforming to the ground. This thing's kind of spent, but it has 11-inch drums and NASCAR stuff, really, or police or fleet, or you call it. It's a special car. It's a more is or less is more scenario right here. So 3-speed manual, 270 V8. If it could only talk, this thing probably responded to all kinds of fires and followed the American LaFrance fire trucks to the big barn fire. And the fire chief probably rode right in that thing. But now it's silent. The siren's gone, but the wigwag still here. So that's the deal here. You want to look at things in the junkyard, not like an old relic, but as a classroom, ready to teach you lessons. If you open your eyes and let it talk, it'll tell you all kinds of stuff. Even something like this police or fire chief 56 Plymouth Plaza. Well, if you like this video, be sure to stay tuned to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel and subscribe. Ring the bell, give the thumbs up, all that good stuff. Move back tomorrow with more.